In the readings, Father really focuses on sex. And I think we need to really educate people that it's not just the sexual act. We need to be intimate with each other on many different levels and vulnerable and open and, like he said, affectionate. It's a lifestyle. It's not just a sexual act. So this is, I think, something that we could focus on more.
All right, welcome everybody. We're back here with another testimony from one of our High programs. And today we'll hear a testimony from one of the couples who've participated in Radiant. And I have the Angelucci couple here. They're usually always calling from a different place. And today I have them here from Roma, Italia. And so I just wanted to ask if you could introduce yourself and introduce your couple a little bit.
Yes, hi. My name is Umberto Angelucci. I was born in Brazil, maybe you don't know, and I lived my first 12 years in Brazil. My parents are Italian, of course, but I had some spice from the Brazilian South American spirit. And after that, I moved to Italy and I joined in 1981. And so we were matched in 1987. We have two wonderful sons, blessed with two wonderful daughter-in-laws. And so we have a beautiful 7 grandchildren. They live in the US actually because my wife is American. So we need to kind of travel around the world. And so that's some brief introduction. Yeah.
So I'm Marilyn Angelucci. I took my husband's last name. That's rather confusing in Italy because they don't usually do that. So they think I'm his sister. As he mentioned, I'm from America. Yeah, we were blessed in 89 at the McCall factory. And so we've been married quite a few years. And as he mentioned, we have 2 sons and now 7 grandchildren. So we've been traveling our whole life, doing the mission all over the world. And our children were with us most of the time. But when they were finishing high school, we sent them to the States. They did their university there, and now they're settled with their families and doing very well. So, I think that's a good introduction of our couple. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and so we met you, I think, you on Marilyn at the summit in Prague this year, earlier. And then after that, you and Uncle Umberto participated in the Radiant program. So I'm just going to go right in and wanted to ask what inspired you to join the program?
Anyway, as you know, we were blessed by parents and, many years we have been faithful and devoting ourselves, trying to live as a, let's say, ideal couple, right? And following the example of our true parents. But, in time, we need different upgrades. And we did in different ways, actually. We read books, we studied together, different programs. And then my wife she would explain more. She got in touch with High Noon and then, she introduced to me the program, how to, make more of a happy relationship. And, in my personal experience as a blessed couple, as a blessed husband, always I wish to improve and to learn from brothers and sisters and also from people who have experience also in, in education and helping couples. So I was inspired actually by my wife. And that, of course, I know most of the people who are doing the program. So that inspires me too. So, putting things together, then I joined. That basically is really like the background, from my side.
Actually, the first time I came in touch with High Noon was in Germany quite a few years ago. I think David and Mitsue made a presentation maybe at a BFD meeting or a national leaders meeting, something. And at that time, you were focused mostly on addictions. And I thought it was very appropriate and needed, but I didn't have any addictions, so it wasn't really for me. So personally, but as a BFD director, I did recommend this to many people. As a matter of fact, our daughter-in-law's brother is very involved, Seiji Lindstrom. He's very involved with High Noon, so we used to hear a lot about your programs from him. And then I really wanted to attend the program in Prague, and I did. And there happened to be a group of older people there, older couples, which was very inspiring for me because I found that was quite a misunderstanding among the older couples towards High Noon. And I was very anxious to participate myself and then to make my own opinion. And to be able to publicize my opinion as an older member. So I had a wonderful experience. And then when they gave us the opportunity to join the older couples radiant group, I believe it was one of the first times it was done. Myself and my friends were very inspired about it. And as my husband mentioned, I had no problem to inspire him to attend because we've always tried to improve and develop. And we like to do things that are connected to the movement. Of course, there are a lot of outside programs, but to do something, participate in a program that you know is connected to True Parents' words and to True Parents' ideology and vision, it gives you a lot more security that you're going in the right direction. So that's one of the main reasons why I felt, yeah, let's try this and see how it works. So yeah, that's the background.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's right. I believe there have been groups like this in the past for couples of different demographics, younger couples, elder couples. But for the Radiant program itself, after the world tour, as a bit of context, that was a bit of an upgrade. Since we met so many couples at different stops, the Wolfenbergers invited more and more. And so we thought, okay, well, we have the manpower, the facilitators, the groups. And we would like to see what's possible and if we can offer this to not only newlywed and young couples, but really any couple of any age that would like to have a group like this and work on their blessing. That, I mean, must be relevant for any age, surely. So they called it the Forever Radiant group, I believe, on Mitzvah and Uncle David. And so I wanted to ask, yeah, how was your experience in the group? And how do you believe what have you taken from it? How do you think it has impacted you?
Yeah, I was with the boys, so the girls wasn't allowed inside. Yeah, I was reflecting because, later on we had a chance to talk to David about, how was the program. And I think it was important to start as a separate, boys and girls. But eventually, I think also I will suggest some, you know, to have more sessions when we are together as a couple because yeah, of course. I mean, we do need to share something more, yeah, more like private as a man. But I don't know if that, of course, it depends on the trust and the base of the team, let's say the group. If you have a good, trustworthy relationship, that we can share even deeper things, deeper experience or difficulties. So yeah, for me it was good to hear, from brothers, and also David was always there sharing, giving guidance. And also there was, I think, the video before the lecture also was good because, yeah, there are several hints, for improvements, and especially some very, very good testimonies I felt, yeah, were quite useful for me. But also gave me, as I mentioned before, it gave me a chance to reflect, and to go deep into myself and to think about my relationship with my spouse, my wife. One thing, honestly, I can say is that I didn't have much time to share with her afterwards because we have been through this roller coaster. But
Well, I was in America. He was in Italy. Then he went to Korea, and I came back. I was in Turkey.
so as I think to talk about this very important aspect of our intimate life, it should be, one to one, personal, and with your spouse, not, the group is okay, but then you need to practice. And I felt, you know, when you ask about even this interview, I can say that I didn't have much time, honestly, because I didn't have much time to really take personal time with my wife. And so maybe like the program, because, like it's easy to participate to trainings, but then the major aspect for me is the practical afterwards or during the program. So, this is important to take time. But yeah, I just want to recognize that it was it was well prepared, and yeah, I felt comfortable to be with brothers. And then I think it was the last session, right, that we did together. Yeah, it was quite, like a friends, like meeting together after this journey, so it was quite good impact. I would suggest to other couples to attend for sure.
Yeah, thank you. For someone listening, I guess the context is, the Radiant program has the groups, right, that are separated, husbands, and wives with wives, based on the belief that, sometimes we need to talk with peers, I guess, where we can recharge and bring that energy into our couple. And then we had these discussion questions, couples checkpoint challenges for the couples to work on offline. Yeah. So the groups were okay, but I'm hearing there was like that time to actually bring that into the couple. It would have been nice to have more of that either in the program or more time in general.
Well, I think it's more our problem than the program's problem, because one of the reasons why we wanted to do this is because it is so hard to create the atmosphere or the environment to discuss about these intimate things. Our life is very, very public, and we don't take enough time. So we wanted to take this time. And I think the program is very good in the sense that, also for context, you're given homework where we watch a video, and the video is usually on some aspect, either communication or conflict resolution or making up a goal, or it has certain topics that another couple will guide us or give us testimony about. Those were excellent. Feel sometimes Mitsue was worried because they were younger couples, but I think it worked even though they were younger couples, and it was very relevant for us. And then there were the group together, and then like you said, they call check up or something, questions that we should work on. But we weren't in the same place often enough to be able to do that. And actually, we made a determination. Now that we are together, we were going to go through the program again and watch the videos and do the questions and stuff, but we haven't made the time. So this is unfortunate. And as my husband was alluding to, we really should have taken that opportunity, and we will still. This will inspire us to do again. I think the program is a wonderful impetus for us to focus on these relational issues. We had a very good experience, especially with Myrna's presentation, Myrna Lepre, when she talked about communication. And then we had an opportunity to talk to each other in the program itself. And that really helped us to understand some mistakes we make in our communication, and then how to correct that and to improve our communication, which was really, really helpful. And we had a very good experience. And after it, we could talk about very important issues that, have been on our hearts that we weren't able to bring up before. Yeah, I really recommend the program. I think that it's very basic. It's nothing invasive, or it's like my husband also mentioned, it's a group of peers discussing about important issues that we all want to talk about, but we just don't take the time or have the platform. And gives us lots of skills, conflict resolution points, communication points, a lot of somehow basic points that we need, I think all couples need help with. So, I wouldn't say we don't have any huge issue. We have basically a very good relationship, but we need to learn how to communicate more effectively and more deeply, let's say, to really become the one that our true parents want us to be. I think this Radiant program really brought us closer to that and gives us the tools and the means to do that. So For me, it was very beneficial, and we can always use what we were given to improve and develop.
I think I just wanted to reemphasize, because this is like, if I can see that if the group is really mature, I think the fact that we have the couple together, it can be more effective, some extra sessions in the couple, because it's a therapeutical, it's not just that we're not here just to learn. We need to practice. The problem that we couples have difficulties because issues are there. And in the group, you cannot escape. In, in two, in a relation between the two, you can always escape and avoid because, you don't like it, you're not used to, or, you're not familiar or whatever. But in the group, because it's a therapeutica and you have experts, like David and his wife. And so then I think putting that spice there inside, it gives a chance really for the couple to grow. Otherwise, it's just okay. It's a training, it's one of the regular trainings, and I did it. We don't need a certificate. And we had also Franz was there, and both of us were thinking, how can we use this for our communities? This is not just we're using for ourselves, but how can we help our communities? Because there are so many difficulties there that eventually we need to have a program that, it really helps the practical level couples, that, our ideal is so high, but our practices sometimes get stuck in difficulties, intermarriage, intermarital problems. So I think it is just a point I would like to mention. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I'm hearing, both sides, that the practical application, right? It's not supposed to be just another educational program with know-how, but a space where we can actually apply it and share in community and peers, but then not leave it there, but take that into our couple and practice it. And so I'm hearing that these sessions, especially those sessions where that was done, where there's no escape, so to speak, already inside the program, that was most effective because the time was already given and the space was already there
I was thinking how to do this, Andy, we are just sharing. I think it's good to think about practically how to do, because maybe the couple doesn't want to share everything. But when we do the group, what do you call the separate group?
The
breakout could be the breakouts of private, like two with David, two with his wife, and this kind of thing. So then a person, maybe some issues can be everybody, they all couples, but sometimes the issue can be here, the focus on the couple itself. So just some ideas.
I know that many times, I don't know many times, but it was written somewhere that if you want to have private sessions, that's available, but we didn't take it. I mean, I didn't really think about it, honestly, but hearing him say this, I think this is a very important point where we can at least have one or two sessions where we can meet and apply what has been taught, the conflict resolution, and then also meet with our group leader privately as a couple. I think that would be very effective and helpful. Yeah, it's so true. I mean, whenever an issue comes up that we want to talk about, always there's something else more important, even it's cooking dinner, because we very hard to confront each other, or not confront, but very hard to bring out these sensitive issues. Yeah. So.
And also with the, as I mentioned before, because we are educators ourselves, so then we know that there are issues with them. And so we want to suggest them, but they need that moment together, because the final point is, are you going to apply that,
Yeah.
But there are a lot of resistance inside, right? So.
Yeah. Well, that was hearing both sides, right? That, okay, that was what was really great. How could we get more of that in the program? And then also the side of, which is courageous to say, right? That, we could have taken more time for this perhaps as well. It is the vision of Radiant. Like, we're already thinking about how can we make the program in community, but really for the couple even more, that there's more that the river of everything that's happening in the program really flows into the ocean of the couple. And so these are some great pointers. It's kind of where we want the program to head into. And so this has been the first time, I guess, that we've made it this explicit, asking couples to watch the video together, do the homework together, and then talk, which is still, it's up to the couple to create the space. So that would be the next step. How can we create that space more often online for couples so that that can happen? And I think it's inspiring to hear you share, because already as a normal couple living life, having family and work, managing priorities becomes a real challenge. And then leading a public life even more. My wife and I experienced it on a small scale, maybe running a program. And in the first few months, we realized, oh my God, if we don't prioritize our couple intentionally, it just drops down the ladder of priorities unknowingly because everything else seems urgent. So navigating that and hearing from you, I think that's inspiring to hear. Were there any more? You mentioned communication and how to communicate and express things was a really big takeaway for you. Were there any, you hinted here and there, like relevant points for you that stood out from the program that you're taking away with you?
And you're stimulating something, maybe, I don't know, try to see if that is something relevant to this question. But I noticed that when I was reading the book in the beginning, and also the beginning of the program was the value of sex, right? To have a proper, how important it is. And that was the approach. And I realized, it was kind of for me at least, of course, I mean, for me, it's very important, the sexual relationship, and it should be complete, should be holy, should be godly. But the point is, at least from my experience, is how do you reach that level? How do you travel to that point, right? Because if I remember in the beginning when Father was explaining about the importance of sexual relationship, and he talked about the holiness of the sexual organ and the sexual relationship. So of course it was very exciting, and very stimulating, right? But then I realized after many years that yet that is not enough to reach to the point of that, to create a holy experience, holy, complete, not just holy spiritual or, kind of out of the space, physical and spiritual and complete, I don't know, the English expression, the really fully, as we wish as a human beings created in this physical world, it should be complete. So that means there's so many things that in between the two, right? There is emotions, there is also past, there is history. That's right, right? So there's a lot of past that comes into that relationship. So that's why I say by only knowledge that the sexual relationship is important, it's not enough to help these two sides to come really together and to have that kind of relationship. So that's why I feel that sometimes the healing process is still long. The course is the journey. So yeah, that's something that you mentioned communication. Yeah, communication. Everything is based on communication. So we had a lot of misunderstandings in the beginning in our relationship, and honestly speaking, that really affected us for different reasons. I came from another background. She came from another background, different languages and different wordings, right? And also the affection, right? So to have a proper sexual relationship, you need to have affection. This word love is another step, right? To say love is easy, to say I love you is easy, but to express that in affection and so it's really, there's so many steps that people get, blocked, right? In life, in this believing in the fallen world, there's so many things that is blocking us, and it doesn't help us to express really our true love that we want to share with each other. And especially in the the most intimate relationship. So I believe that the knowledge itself is not enough. So if there is healing, that is not only, I don't want to say only healing, but there are many things that we need we need moments, to create, to come to that level. I think it's a phases of growth, in love and in its sexuality. And then you can have that really fully. At this age, I don't want to just act, to have a proper, you know, relationship with my son. It's not what I want. It's not what people look for. Yeah, we want to create really a true love relationship, and we have all the characteristics, to perform that, with all the teachings of our true parents and how they help, of problems. Right on.
Yeah, I think you were asking about the effectiveness of the program. Is that how you were? I think what
Yeah.
he was trying to say was the focus on the sexual act shouldn't be the focus, but more on how to make it natural. And there were things about that. It's very true. But in the readings, Father really focuses on sex. And I think we need to really educate people that it's not just the sexual act. We need to be intimate with each other on many different levels and vulnerable and open and, like he said, affectionate, and it's a lifestyle. It's not just a sexual act. So this is, I think, something that we could focus on more. There was a presentation about making the act holy and how to make it holy, which was good and a good beginning. But I think that, yeah, it's a very complicated issue, and we have an extremely high ideal, we're talking about a man and a woman coming together and representing God and the physical manifestation of God, so I would actually, now that I'm saying that, I would like to hear testimony of people who actually had the sexual relationship and really experience God and what that really means, because that's what we're yearning for. That's what we're going for. And I'm not saying it's not easy to do in such a platform because it's very public and it would have to be a more personal thing. But this is what we're thinking about, and this is what members are thinking about, and this is what true parents want us to strive for. And I think this High Noon has a lot of courage to, have these kind of radiant couple programs, whether it's Forever Radiant or the Young Radiant. But we always have to, and I think David and Mitsue have this vision, definitely, of making this really an expression of God, our sexual relationship. And maybe there needs to be another session about that. But I think that the testimonies were extremely helpful for me because they were very practical. It was talking about, who's going to do the dishes and who's not going to do the dishes. And this is where the conflict begins. This is the things that we don't talk about that need to be talked about. On one hand, we're talking about right now something very idealistic. On the other hand, I think this High Noon Reading program helps us to deal with the practical issues too, that we often ignore, build up until there's an explosion. So how to avoid this kind of practical issues that come up every day, not avoid, but deal with them. And then how to communicate effectively without the explosion. And this was extremely beneficial. So I think simply we're trying to say we also have to emphasize this divinity of sex more, maybe, and this high ideal that true parents and God want us to achieve.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much. It's true. It's in this one roster curriculum that we have for every couple that's coming. We try to engage different topics, and we've had some couples coming saying, we would like more in communication, not that much about sexuality. And then some couples coming in, we want way more about sexuality. And we already have heard about communication. And so I appreciate that you touched on that point, because that's really the crucible. And we are fortunate enough to have teachers, right? True parents who talk a good amount about the importance of absolute love and absolute sex. And as you said, Uncle Umberto, there's knowledge and the theory of it, and it's great. It's like, okay, I like that, I believe that. But then how does it actually look like? What is absolute sex in practice? What is true love in practice and in the couple? Because that's ultimately what makes us in God's image, right? When man and husband and wife join together, and that's what makes us the closest to to God's image. And what has been challenged arguably the most in human history, to take that away, right, from us, God's.
That's right. And so all interconnected. You can see when you start to talk about that, why we get stuck, for example, if that's the most important, why we can't achieve. So there are issues, and the issues should be tackled. We need to bring it out. It's like when we talk about, like we have a lecture preparing youth for marriage, right? And then we say, what are the points that bring the couple to be successful? What are the things that make them fail? So, we always study these crucial points. And I think during the program, I could see, that these points were hitting very deep insights, like in us. So, and if you're not, like my wife say, vulnerable, and then you open and trust, because at one point it's easy to close, right? And then to say, yeah, that was important. Yeah, that was a nice video. That was a good scene.
Good for them.
Yeah, but
Right.
me and my wife, we don't talk about that, or right? We don't deal with that. But there's so many things, and I think because we are responsible for breaking through, this that was never, people don't bring out. And if we are 6 siblings in my family, but my father, the only thing he was asking me when I was young, he said, "Do you masturbate?" That's all that he could do as sexual education, and the rest came from where? From the outside.
Street.
So we really have a chance in our holy community, to really become professionals and to really, what do you say, completely free. I feel like, I think we talk about this. This is one of the core elements that really let's say the satanic environment is the war is abusing and taking power from the true human beings. And we need to keep professionals. We need to be, skilled. And I mean, my wife would say, you have the courage. Yes. And then, so why don't we go one step higher and develop, even higher? And then when there are really difficulties, are you really seriously, you know, to challenge the couple to the point to say, are you dealing with that or not? Or just, avoiding, because we need that actually, I mean, we have couples that they don't have sexual relationship. For example, they believe in the ideal, but they don't have sexual relationship. They already cut off, gave up, because that's why I say, communication and other things that maybe the sexual relationship ideal is, yes, it's still there, but how to get there? Because there's something, it's blocked, right? So, yeah, of course, maybe we can say, well, that's their job to deal with that. But, as educators,
They need help.
we have responsibility.
We all need this.
What do you say to trigger? You put a little bit of something there. So, okay, can you give me a chance to talk? Of course.
Yeah, exactly. Providing the seeds for people that something can grow, and then the environment and the watering, if possible, for that to really take fruit. I mean, yeah, I appreciate mentioning all these points. These are all the attempt of every Heinun program, really, and in Radiant doing that for couples, because it's, as every couple, I think, realizes after their first 2 honeymoon years that the blessing wasn't the finish line of their growth, and that really starts. And I'm unraveling what has been a quagmire for the longest time, sexuality, and was meant to be a huge, beautiful gift, right? And we're having, as you said, like healing comes into it and past comes into it. And that as a form of communication and sexuality for intimacy's sake, so many areas that could be brought into it, and that it's connected to, has its strings attached to all these areas of life.
And also, actually, that also impacted the outside world. You see that, because you can see now we usually we live in a very protected society. In the Middle East, they're a little bit more protected, but here everything is open, exposed. And if you really approach sexuality in the right way, we can really heal so many people, and we can help those who truly search for pure, and loving and true sexual relationship. They don't want to have this kind of this is not what God meant to, even though sex is important, but that's not how it's supposed to be. So that's why people are kind of getting completely, kind of blocked. And when we join the blessing, we come from that background, right? Including second gen. I mean, we talk to them and they have blocks. They have situation, they have shocks, they have, bad experiences. So the concept, now again, the theory is there, the goal is there, the ideal is there. So then we need a kind of a healing process. Right?
Mm. Yes. Yeah. I'm aware that we're coming to the end. So yeah, I guess just as we can start wrapping it up, it's Radiant is gonna do a little bit of the science, the theory behind it, but its vision is to go where we can practice the art and the practice of it. So that's, yeah, for anyone listening, where we're trying to go and make that even more so. And I guess I wanted you to have the last word. Anything else that you would like to share before we end here?
I just want to thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to really encourage anyone who's listening that this is definitely a meaningful experience. It's only 8 weeks. It's just a beginning, but it's a very good beginning. And it'll give you lots of tools and opportunity to deal with issues that are not easy to deal with. We need to make time for these things, and so grateful. Yeah, I'm so grateful to High Noon, their desire to serve, their desire to keep everything aligned with true parents, and their desire to help us to fulfill the ideal that true parents are, have given us. And as I mentioned, their courage, because this is a big issue. And starting with, the addictions and then moving on to, okay, so maybe the addictions are bothering us, but we're still not reaching the goal. So how can we do that? So I think it's an extremely valuable instrument that we all should take advantage of. And I'm very, very grateful again. Thank you. And thank you to the High Noon staff, to David and Mitsue for making this their lifelong mission, and all the young people that they've inspired so much to work together, like Andy and the others. So thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, everybody, for watching, listening, and we'll see you for the next testimony. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. God bless.